What is that?
It's my bone.
God damn it, Cartman!
How would you like to suck my balls?
What did you say?
I'm sorry. Actually, what I said was... How would you like to suck my balls, Mr. Garrison?
Holy shit, dude.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Suck My Balls. Right here on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, of course on Hami Media Group and ratsaladreview.com and all of those affiliate websites. Please like us, share us, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your best friend, tell your uncle, if they all like South Park, of course. However, this podcast is not suitable for children. Therefore, viewer discretion is advised. I'm your host, the most lives on the West Coast, your boy, MSG. And I am joined each and every week, as I usually am, by my main man. He lives in this hot, sunny hell. Arizona wants to put a spell, but he's trying to climb the market to put money away in that well. I'm talking about my main man, Steve Johnson.
Just what a fucking introduction, bro.
I got lost for days, dog.
Hype man, dude. My hype man when I make it rich. Just gonna pay like 120 grand just to be my hype man.
That sounds great.
Wiz Khalifa, he's so rich, bro. His blunt man makes 120 grand.
We've already talked about this. No one's going to give anybody their friends money. You just got to let them live at the mansion. That's it. Like, you don't need to give me any money. I just need to live at the mansion.
Yo, I'll just come on, pass you some keys and shit. Like, yo, bro, go check out your new car and shit.
That's what I'm saying. Like, as long as you
wrong with me, homie.
That's it. Like, you don't need to, because I have my own job and I have my own life, but, let me live at the mansion. That's fine. That's why I always tell Rome, I'm like, yo, one of us got to get rich or somebody. One of us has to get rich so somebody can have the mansion. Like, that's it. Like, that's all we're trying to get. Mansion. And have all the homies chilling, under one hood. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Suck My Balls. We are a South Park review, where we review South Park episodes in linear fashion each and every week. This week, we are going to expand upon Season 3, Episode 5, and that is Tweek versus Craig. Now, this is our 37th episode overall. Interestingly enough, Scoop, did you know that within the last 2 days, South Park had its actual anniversary of the show? So
I did.
Happy birthday to South Park. Of course, we are recording this a couple days later, but nonetheless, happy birthday to them. Now, we are recording this on August the 14th, so you will be listening to this a couple days after that. But Scoop, I got to tell you something. I didn't tell you this I kind of told you this in via text. I've been playing the new Tony Hawk demo, and it's freaking fantastic.
Yeah. Is it like how it was old school?
It's so much. It's like that, but elevated. It's like they took the original game and just remade the game, but with better graphics.
I hope they release it for the Switch.
I would have to think so eventually.
Because, originally it was for the 64.
That's a fair point. I mean, it's coming out for Xbox and PlayStation. I think the reason why obviously it came out initially right away is graphically it's probably 4K, so it might take a little bit longer to decompress down and move it into a Switch format, and then you got to be able to move it into a cartridge if you really think about it. I mean, unless they let you digitally download it, which I'm surprised they don't just let you digitally download it. You know what I mean?
It might actually be on there. I have no idea.
No, you're not the first person to say that. I think I've seen some other people on my Twitch when I was streaming live on twitch.tv/Hami Media Group. You can see that video there. At 8 a.m. I went live, had the game already installed. So once 8 a.m. and it unlocked, I hit play, boom, started off. And like the game starts off with the old school like VHS style like intro, like how it played, and then it expands into high def. So it's really good game, and it has the original tracks in it, of course. So being able to play the warehouse with Goldfinger, Superman, that was a pleasure. And I had a wave of nostalgia. I played that demo for 2 hours. I mean, think about that. I played a demo for 2 hours. I mean, when's the last time you've done that or you played a demo? It's been a long time.
I think that would be Borderlands. No, Gears of War. No, I think No, one of those two. Either Gears of War or Borderlands.
That's Xbox 360, right?
Yeah. Did I do for not Xbox? No, I don't think DayZ had a demo.
Because the last demo I had played before that was Crackdown. No, I'm sorry, not Crackdown. The last demo I had played before that was a beta. It was Halo 3 when that came out for Xbox 360. And that would have been in would that have been Xbox 360? That would have been 2007, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was in college at the time, my first run through. So I played, that might have been the last demo I played before I played and then prior to that, we used to play demos all the time, dude.
Right?
All the time. You get them in magazines, you get them at food places, Pizza Hut. Like I made a joke during the stream, but it was real. Like I tried calling Pizza Hut this morning. I was like, "Can I order some pizza?" And they're like, "Sir, we don't open till 10." I was like, "But it's Tony Hawk Day. Like, don't you want to capitalize on this?" And they're like, she's like, "Well, I don't." She's like, "That's actually really smart." Like the lady was like, she was kind of befuddled for a second. She was like, "Well, that's
smart."
She's like, "That's smart, but I don't have the drivers. I'm sorry." And I was like, "All right." I was like, "Can you make me the pizza and I'll come in and get it?" She was like, "No." I was like,
"No."
I was like, she's like, "No, I don't have the cash register and all." I was like, "I'll pay with my card." She's like, "I don't have anything set up. Nothing's turned on." She's like, "I'm literally in the back, like in my office." I'm like, "Oh, all right."
Does a beta count? I got invited to play Shadowlands for a while.
Like I said, I played a Halo beta online 3 back in the day when it first came out.
And I played it for like 5 minutes, and then
that kind of counts as a demo. You're not getting a full version of the game, right?
No, you got the full, somewhat full.
Oh.
Yeah, so it doesn't count. I played it for like 5 minutes anyway.
Yeah, no, then this is like the first demo in like maybe at least, like I said, 10, 15 years. So like back then we collected them. You got the magazines all the time.
Right.
Like when the original Tony Hawk demo came out, it was the shit. Like
right.
Remember you could get the 4 different PlayStation disc covers from Pizza Hut?
Man. Yeah. Dude, it was fun back then.
Now, bro, you play this demo, it's gonna take you back there. Anyway. Something else that took me back down memory lane was Tweek versus Craig Scoop, and we kind of get an idea of how this relationship starts. I mean, because eventually these two now are going to be together.
Tweek and a Craig on a moonlight night.
In a Craig, Tweek and a Craig.
Here we have a Tweek and a Craig.
So in this episode of a Tweek versus a Craig, it is the 5th episode of season 3. The 36 episodes overall of South Park. It originally aired on June 23rd, 1999. Stan, Kyle, and Cartman trick Tweek and Craig into believing they have been challenged to each other by a fight. Mr. Adler, the boys' shop class teacher, can't get over the death of his beloved fiance, Scoop. And it's pretty funny throughout the episode. So they start this episode in his class, Mr. Adler. Mr. Adler is the kind of guy that's sounds like he's got cotton in his mouth. Don't screw around. Screw around. Don't screw around. I want to know right now, who's the biggest troublemaker in your class? And then Stan and Kyle are like, well, Tweek is. And Cartman's like, yeah, well, actually, in our class, it's Craig. And the shop teacher's like, is that true, Craig? Are you the biggest troublemaker? And he's like, no. And then he flips him off. He's like, hey, just flip me off. And Cartman's like, see, I told you.
See, I told you.
Yeah, I told you.
Now, does anybody know why you are in shop class? Yes.
Because we had to choose between this and home ec and we didn't want to be sissies?
Wrong. You are here because you are America's future. You may someday be doctors or lawyers or scientists. Most of you, however, will be pumping gas or cutting sheet metal. And that's why we have shop class.
Continues to lay down the law, don't screw around, blah, 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 get to work. So the guys get to work. And at this point in time now, Cartman and Stan and Kyle are at the one of the saws, and they're sawing back and forth. And originally they're like, hey, I wonder where Kenny is. And Kenny's like off in home economics, and he's like the only boy to not attend shop class. But he's like initially he gets along pretty well with the girls. Back in the shop class itself, though, Craig and Tweek are working individually, and Stan, Kyle, and Cartman devise a way to get them to fight. Cartman tells Kyle and Stan that he believes Kyle could kick Tweek's ass and Tweek could kick Craig's ass, as said by Kyle and Stan, vice versa. They then decide to go egg each other on. It starts off with like Stan and Kyle trying to like egg him on.
Hey, Tweek. Dude, Craig chooses you. He wants to fight. He does? Yeah, he's all pissed off at you. So will you fight him? Why? Dude, because you have to stand up for yourself. So will you fight him? He doesn't look like he wants to fight me. Craig, can I talk to you real quick? Just a second, please, Craig. Craig, I'm not normally one to get involved in this kind of thing, but, well, I was just standing over by Tweek, and he called you a big poop eater. He did? Yeah, he said you eat poop and that it makes your breath smell like poop and that, well, you like it.
Tweek, and, he's like, hey, man, you talked about your mom and he didn't say nice things about you. And then Cartman tells Craig that Tweek said he's a poop eater, which I thought was funny. He's like, yeah, he's like, yeah, Craig, he called you a poop eater. And I was like, why would you say that? Dude, I've probably used that line from this specific tonality of Eric in this scene and going, why would you do that? It's so good when Cartman is like trying to lie in that emotional range there. But so the boys convince Tweek and Craig to fight. So the fight is set for after school. So after school now, the boys wait for Tweek and Craig to fight. Everyone shows up. And they raise the bet to $10. Like the Kyle and Stan and Cartman are arguing back and forth. And then Clyde tells him, yeah, I'm excited for this. He goes, but it's interesting because, Tweek and Craig both went home. And they're like, what? And you see Token in the background. He's like, yeah, they both went home like 15 minutes ago. And they're like, oh, God damn it. So they all decide that now they got to go find Tweek and Craig, that being Stan and Kyle to Tweek and Cartman to Craig. And that they're going to go find out what the hell, why aren't they fighting? So they first go to Stan and Kyle's place. And Tweek's like, I just didn't really see a reason we had to fight. And they're like, oh, dude, but Craig showed up. And when he showed up, he was like, yeah, why didn't Tweek show up? And, he called you a big,
he did?
What?
He's like, well, he did?
Yeah, he's like, yeah, he called you names and blah, blah, blah. So it was pretty funny, pretty good scene there, trying to egg on Tweek. And eventually what's taken from this scene is Stan and Kyle tell Tweek that he basically continued to call him names when he didn't show up. Thus being the fact that, you wimped out, you're a pussy, you're a pansy, is what they were saying. So they get Tweek eventually to agree to fight again. Cartman's got a little bit more work on his hands. Him and Kenny go to Craig's house and knock on the door, and they're like, hey, Craig, where were you? Why didn't you show up for the fight? You should be fighting right now. And Craig's like, Red Racer's on right now, which maybe might be a parody of Speed Racer. And he's like, Red Racer's on right now. And he's like, you can watch Red Racer every day of the week. He's like, I do watch Red Racer every day of the week. And he's like, it's too bad you when you left, Tweek was talking crap about your mom. And he's like, I don't care. And he shuts the door. And then they knock on the door again. And he's like, it's too bad because Tweek was talking Craig about your guinea pig. And that's what insults him, dude. Can you believe that? That's what gets him mad. Would you get more upset if someone made fun of your dog or animal versus your, I don't know, mother or father?
You going down, you make fun of my pet.
Really? Right.
I don't know. Maybe not.
Well, they tell him that Craig, aka or his guinea pig Stripe, is said to be a sex toy. That's what pissed him out. They're like, yeah,
you picking up your pet.
And I'm sorry, they called Tweek a chicken. That's what Stan and Kyle said. Craig called them. But yes, so now they've all decided that they will fight, of course, the next day after Red Racer. So meanwhile, while this is going on, man, it's funny. We get some interesting South Park imagery here because Mr. Alder is going through this emotional stress because of the death of his fiance. And he keeps a photo of her with him, and he can't help looking at it frequently, and he kind of starts to see flashbacks of her death when she was a skyrider, in which her plane exploded and crashed into the ocean, and then she drowns. And they go like South Park goes in depth to show you every scene from "Don't worry, Richard, I'm a pilot, I can fly, it's my job." And she's like, and like she starts shaking, and then blood spurts all over her face, and then you see the plane go down, and it crashes, and then she's underwater, and they filmed from her underwater. And I was like, God damn, South Park, you went all out for this episode. So they really wanted to paint that picture, Scoop, that he was depressed.
Yeah.
But his only comfort at this time was nicotine gum, which had very little effect as his emotional state continued to get worse and worse. But nicotine,
Why?
why? He kept like shoving in nicotine gum into his mouth. Oh man, it was funny. Did you ever have a shop? Go ahead.
Can you OD on nicotine? You can OD on that shit, can't you?
I believe so.
Like you can chew too much.
You can get a nicotine overdose. I mean, I'm sure when you first started smoking cigarettes. I mean, you don't smoke anymore, but back in the day when we were all smoking, I mean, sure, it's happened. After being a veteran smoker, sometimes you smoke too much, and you get
Yeah, I get that weird lighthead or whatever. Like near the end when I started to quit, like when I was really close to quitting, and I'd have a cigarette, dude, that shit made me sick.
Right.
It'd be like the worst.
Like I can't smoke cigarettes anymore, dude. The other day, actually, this happened yesterday. I went on my walk, and I was like really chiefed out. Right, had my glasses on, I got my music on, I'm in my zone, right. And like apparently, like somebody either saw me walking. I had my shirt on. It said "Good Vibes" at the time, and I'm just walking around, and somebody like walked up to me and put their hand on my shoulder, and like it really freaked me out, right? Like because you're in your zone, you're walking, you're not paying attention, and then all of a sudden you're out in public and someone just puts their hands on you. You know what I'm saying?
Right? Like,
So like,
wait, what?
so like that was kind of my reaction. Like I turned around and I was like, "What?" And it was like this tiny little girl, and I was like, "Oh," well, I'm like, "What's up?" And she was like, "Do you have any cigarettes?" I was like, "No, I don't smoke." And I was like, it felt good to say that. You know what I mean? Because I don't smoke cigarettes. No, I do have my vape pen, but it's very low to no nicotine at all. It's more for oral, and that's because I like the flavor actually more of the nicotine. I like the flavors, the fruits, the flavors. But that being said, yeah, you know, Mr. Adler, to bring it back around town, he could definitely OD on nicotine. He didn't do a good job in this episode of trying to commit suicide, as he'll try. But unfortunately, you know, after dinner, Tweek and Craig now are both, or I'm sorry, at dinner, both Tweek and Craig are trying to tell their parents about the upcoming fight. Tweek's is the best one because he tells his dad, he's like, "Hey dad, I gotta fight." And his dad starts to tell him the story. And like the music kicks in, you know, back in the day I had to fight, you know, there was a fight between there was a love interest between myself and another man and your mother. Your mother used to be hot. I know you can't, if you can believe it. And his mom's like, "Yeah, I used to be hot. It's true."
You see, a long time ago, there were a lot of guys who were after your mother. She used to be very attractive.
It's true, I was.
Well, when I started courting your mother, there was this big, muscular football player named Quib, who didn't take too kindly to me. He wanted your mother all to himself, and so, one day, he challenged me to a fight.
And he tells a story about like leading up to the fact that like he was interested in Tweek's mom, and another guy was interested in Tweek's mom, and just as like he's about to get to the climax, he stops and sits back down. He's like, "And that's one day he challenged me to a fight." And then the music goes da 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 da, and then he just sits back down and starts eating. And then Tweek sits there, pauses, and he's like, "Well, what the hell?" And his dad's like, "What?" What? He's like, "What happened with the end of the fight?" And he's like, "Oh, well, I think he moved away or something." His mom's like, "Yeah, he moved away. I think so." And Tweek's like, "Oh, I hate you guys. Your stories never go anywhere. You're never comforting." And then we go into Craig's house, and Craig talks about being in a fight, and he's like, I got to be in his fight. And Craig's dad's like, "Well, you got to do it." And his mom's like, "Hey." And then like they all just flip each other off. So it was a flip-off fest.
Flip out fast.
So Craig's parents are just indifferent, causing everyone to flip each other off, I guess, And then now, interestingly enough, I don't know if you connected the dots. Did you notice that the home ec teacher was dating the shop teacher?
Yeah.
Okay, because after this, they go back to Mr. Adler's house, and the home ec teacher is trying to get this D. Like, she's like,
she's trying hard.
"Oh, are you gonna invite me in, Mr. Adler?" And, she's all like talking about the fact that this is like their third or fourth date, and I would expect for you to invite me in and try to make love to me. Is what she said, and he's all like, "Wow, yeah, like I can't."
Oh, well, yeah.
It's just like what was first he said my iron's on or my oven's on or something, and then he was like I got genital warts, and she was like we could use plastic wrap, and I was just thinking, damn girl, like you feed him, like you didn't care at that point. But he's like, no, another time, goodbye, and he shuts the door. So apparently Mr. Adler's hot stuff, but he's not willing to plow down with his own wood, huh? From shop class?
Guess not.
Apparently not. So Pearl couldn't get any of that. Now the second day, now they're at the school. This is what you were talking about. This is great. The boys set up a pre-fight press conference. Now they're in the cafeteria, and when answering Clyde's questions, Cartman and Kyle rip each other as they normally do, but unexpectedly end up in a severe fight, which gets Stan and Kenny involved as well. So they're more fighting than actually Craig and Tweek are. But it's funny, like they're asking a question or whatever, and then like Cartman covers Craig's mouth and makes a remark. And
Okay, so just to set the record straight here, the fight will be happening out by the tetherball pole at 3:30. Tweek just weighed in at 48 pounds, Craig at 45. How long do you expect the fight to last? However long Craig wants it to last. Make no mistake, Craig has been ready for this fight since day one. He doesn't even view it as a challenge.
He'll view it as a challenge when he's getting his ass kicked.
Did you hear that? It sounds like diarrhea coming out of someone's mouth or something.
Shut up, fat ass! Don't call me fat, you son of a bitch!
everybody laughs, and then they all get into a fight. But you really liked this part. Tell me why you really liked this press conference part.
Because it's all like it's so professional and stuff, and like they're split, and they got one side against the other. You know, you got like Cartman is like a professional hype man for him. You know, it's pretty dope, and it's almost like they should be fighting each other instead of Tweek and Craig actually fighting each other. So it's pretty hilarious.
That's kind of what they are doing. If you think about it, they're vicariously fighting each other through these representations of Tweek and Craig. I gotta give it to Cartman though. He picked a pretty good. If you're gonna pick somebody, he picked a pretty good guy, in my opinion. But I don't know. Who knows? Mr. Adler now is he's still trying to do his thing in class now. After this press conference, this is ridiculous. So after this press conference, they show up to the fight. And like they all got, it's got the Rocky music, dun dun gonna fly now, right? They get to the fight and they're like, all right, go ahead and fight. And then they kind of stand there because they don't know how to fight. Like, we don't know how to fight. So they're like, oh man, all that build up for nothing. So the fight is rescheduled yet again. The boys then train the two fighters, that being Stan and Kyle. They train Tweek. They take him to their Uncle Jimbo's and Ned's. And this is ridiculous, bro. They have Ned, who's an adult man. Yes, he only has one arm, but he's still an adult, fighting a third grader.
Get up, Tweek!
Damn it! Come on, Tweek, he's only got one arm!
All right, looks like we'll have to apply the Oppenheimer technique with Tweek here.
What you got, biatch?
Punch him in the balls, Tweek! Attaboy! Now quick, get him again while he's down! Good! Now kick his balls! There, see? You got him coughing up blood. Hooray! Now that's boxing.
Show me what you got. Yeah, you like that? And he's fighting Tweek back and forth. And
show me what you got, bitch.
Yeah, take that. So eventually, like, Jimbo's like not getting through to Tweek about guarding and fighting. He's like, you know what, we're gonna have to go to the next plan. Kick him in the nut or punch him in the balls. So Tweek punches him in the balls, and I bet you Ned was definitely not expecting that. He falls over, and then he goes, "Now punch him with the balls again." And then he punches him with the balls again. You see Ned like cough up blood. He's like, "Yeah, now he's coughing up blood. Now keep kicking him there." And then he's like, "Yeah, now that's boxing."
Yeah, that's boxing.
So Cartman, meanwhile, is now teaching Craig how to sumo wrestle. So they're in the sumo dojo with you have to sumo takes patience in a discipline, and so they're fighting. Cartman comes out and he's like, "Yeah, I like this. I kind of like this. Have my hair legs."
Like this.
Ready and begin.
Respect my authority!
Body wreck a stone, mind wreck a meat roof.
Hey, come on, right? Come on.
Oh, Jesus, I can't take it. Stop!
Fight back, resist the ass.
How can I resist an ass so great?
It is only an ass. You must overcome the ass with your mind.
This ass is unlike any I've encountered, Master.
I win!
There is indeed great power in your ass, Eric. Perhaps you should consider sumo as a profession.
Hey, maybe.
He's got his hair all cool, dude. I would totally kill for an Eric Cartman sumo Funko Pop Banzai. Wouldn't that be cool?
That'd be pretty sweet.
Would you want a 6-inch or would you want a 10-inch or would you just want a regular size?
I think a 10-inch would be pretty dope. That'd be pretty dope, dude.
Yeah, it'd be big, but it would be pretty dope. You know, if they don't do it with him, I'd like to maybe see what's the other. There's another toy company that does it, that makes, or they don't have the license anymore.
Or
Kid Robot.
Yeah, they do it. There was that other one. There was that weird one where they were, yeah,
Legos and stuff like that.
Like that.
Because I've got one of those on my corner over there. It's like a Lego full underground set with the Coons layer, and then I have the classroom setting with PC Principal, bruh. PC Principal, and PC Principal. His principal's office. You PC, bro? You PC? PC's 93, bro.
Yo, Ohio State, bro. PC.
There's rumored to be coming out, I believe, with 5 or 6 more South Park Funko Pops. We'll go over that here toward the end of the show. Let's go ahead and continue throughout this episode. So the fight finally begins later on. But first, before we get there, Mr. Adler, he runs out of nicotine gum. And while he runs out of nicotine gum, he's like, "I've completely lost the will to live." And he's going to decide to kill himself. But before this goes on, there's a couple things we got to mention. First of all, Cartman beats Craig in a sumo match and decides that maybe he should be a sumo wrestler. And then Kenny's all in home ec classes, and he's like, the home ec teacher is very misogynistic, right? She's like totally teaching them like how to pick up guys and how to spot guys if they have money through their shoes, and if they have the right amount of credit cards, that being 2, that's perfect for them. At one point, she even Kenny's like, they're like going through all this shit. I can't make love until you get a king size bed. Like,
I can make love until you get a king size bed.
Right?
Can I talk to you for a second?
Sure. We'll get into the what did Kenny say later. He had a lot to say in here, so we're going to give him his own full segment at the end of the episode. So Mr. Adler has finally run out of nicotine gum now after this, because Kenny gets transferred back into home ec class. Having lost the will to completely live, he decides to kill himself by laying on the sawbelt, leaving his last words on the desk. Now, just as he's about to die, he's like, "Oh, that would have been crazy if I had actually done that." Ooh. And then Kenny walks in and he gives him his notes, and he's like, "All right, go ahead and grab everything you need. Don't screw around." So after he briefly instructs Kenny to use the jigsaw while he's still on his suicidal act there, right? He's laying on the bench. Now the fight finally begins. They show up. You see Tweek in his boxing gear and his gloves, and you see Craig in his sumo outfit. And when they start the bell, like, Craig goes, "Respect my authority." And I was like, good job, Craig. I'm proud of you.
Nice, Craig. Get one, Craig. Respect my authority.
Right? So they fight around like the backyard, the back lot of the school where the playground is. crashing into things. Eventually, they crash into Mr. Adler's classroom, and then it finally gets Mr. Adler interrupted of his suicide watch. And then he gets up, and they're like, "What are you guys doing? Are you gonna stop him? Are you gonna do anything?" And they're like, and Carter's like, "No, dude, I got $10 on this." But to no avail. And then eventually, they hit one of the jigsaw saws that Kenny is using, and Kenny gets whirled around and dies, or initially we think he dies here, but he dies over slowly. But he falls into a pit or a box of dirty old used nails, sharp rusty nails. So Mr. Adler rushes to Kenny. Kenny's face forms into a vision of his dead fiance, who throughout the episode we mentioned is
I never got to say goodbye.
I never got
say
to say
it now, Richard. Say it now.
Goodbye. See, what does that really make you feel better? No.
Well, no. And then Grandma pops in. Hi, Richard.
Richard, it's your grandma. Hey, it's me, Richard, Uncle Corey, and Uncle Corey.
We're dead.
There. Now do you feel better?
No.
Of course you don't. Saying goodbye doesn't mean anything. It's the time we spent together that really matters. Not how we left it.
You're right. You're right.
Richard, it's Grandma.
Grandma? Hi, Gram.
You never said goodbye to me either.
Hey, Richie, remember me?
Uncle Corey. Wow, you're all alive again.
No, we're dead.
See, Richard, blah, 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 blah. So, yes, he has an epiphany or whatever existential moment, and she says goodbye, doesn't mean anything. It's about the happy times that really matter, not how a person left, and that these words from beyond the grave make him feel better, able to live again. And that, as we mentioned, Mr. Adler's weird, behaving, confused. Stan has noticed this. Stan's like, dude, this is pretty fucked up right here. He got that line in because Mr. Adler was like, what the, looking at him and all that shit. So now at this point, because of the fight, Tweek and Craig are hospitalized, and the kids go to see them. Stan, Kyle, Cartman apologize to Tweek and Craig, admitting that one had never insulted or ever wanted to fight another, that it was a lie they made up just to see who could win a fight. But then a second later, the boys go, but your parents were on the news, and they started talking shit about each other. And then Tweek's dad, or no, it was Craig's dad hit Tweek's mom or something like that. And Tweek's like, what? I'll kick your ass, bastard. And then he gets up, and then they start fighting. And that's how the episode ends.
What
did Kenny say? Yeah. Bum, bum, bum,
What
bum,
did
bum.
Kenny say? What did Kenny say?
What did Kenny say? All right, let's do it. So in this episode, he had a good amount, a little bit, right? So in the first scene, he says, the teacher says, welcome to home ec. For the next week, you will be learning how to bake, sew, clean, and make things that are lacy and pretty. And Kitty goes, woohoo! He's all excited. Now the woman says, that's right, Wendy. Or no, Wendy says, I requested to be in shop class, but they sent me here. And the teacher, Miss Pearl, goes, that's right, Wendy. You see, some of the girls will go on to have interesting jobs and careers. But a lot of you pretty ones won't have to worry about that because you can marry a nice man. And that's why we have home ec. And Kenny goes, woohoo! And then the next scene, we see Cartman goes, or I guess after school on the playground, Cartman goes, well, look what we have here, our little home economics friend, Kenny. And Kenny's like, hey guys, what's going on with you? And Stan's like, how come you want to take home ec, Kenny?
Yeah, that's not cool, dude. All the girls start walking by. Bye, Kenny. See you tomorrow. Bye, Kenny. Bye, ladies. It's like, yo, he's a pimp. Kenny knows his stuff. He's trying to get his dick wet.
trying to get a dick wet. And then now we're back into the classroom again later on. And the teacher says, outstanding. Now, Kenny, how about you? Repeat after me. And she holds up something on the board. It says, I can't make love to you until we get a king-size bed. And then Kenny goes, I can't make love to you until we get a king-size bed. Everybody stops and looks around, and then she's like, okay, Kenny, could I talk to you over here real quick? So Kenny says, sure you can, and Kenny pulls him up to the front. She says, Kenny, I don't know how quite I tell you this, but I'm not sure home economics is right for you. Kenny goes, why? And Pearl says, well, you're a cooking satisfactory, your sewing skills are below average, and frankly, I don't think the odds of you marrying a nice rich man in the future are very well good. And Kenny's like, you don't? And Pearl says, no, I think you should consider transferring to shop class. And then Kenny all of a sudden starts picturing all these different images of tools and stuff like that, and he gets a little bit freaked out, and he's like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to take shop class. And she says very few students are injured in shop class, so he eventually does go into shop class, as we mentioned. At this point, Mr. Adler is getting ready to kill himself. You want to read that?
What? Who are you? Takes the note. Oh my bad. Kenny McCormick has been transferred from home ec to shop class. Well, all right.
Well, alright, get some safety goggles and start getting acclimated with the jigsaw over there.
So outside they're fighting, in the lockup, and then they come tumbling inside, and that's when Kenny gets knocked around and dies.
Screw around too much!
Well, what happens is we see Tweek and says, and then the other kids are, kind of, cheering them on as they're fighting. And Mr. Adler says, what the? And Stan says, hey, there they are. Mr. Adler says, what's going on? Stan says, Tweek and Craig are fighting. We're just watching. And then Mr. Adler says, well, why the hell don't you stop them? That's what Cartman says, because we got $10 right now. And then Mr. Adler says, don't screw around. And then Kenny's like, hey, as they knock the stool out from under him. And then he yells again, stop screwing around. And Kenny's like, hey, goddammit.
Stop screwing around.
He's like, oh my god, they killed. All right, you're screwing around too much. Right? And Kenny gets thrown. As we mentioned, he dies. Oh my god, you bastards! And then, as we mentioned, Mr. Adler goes to the box of nails. And says, you see what happens when you screw around in shop class. Kenny's like, I understand, dude. And that's basically the last of Kenny's words. So that's what Kenny said. All right, let's jump into our trivia here. Do you want to read off some of these, my man?
This is the first appearance of Richard Adler and Craig Tucker's family. His dad, Thomas Tucker, his mom, Laura Tucker, and his sister, Tracy Tucker. This episode features many live action segments involving the flashbacks Mr. Adler had. So isn't this one of the first ones where they do that? So I think
I believe so, yes.
Catch me, Richard. I'm so in love with you, Richard. I made you some cookies, Richard. Merry Christmas, Richard. Oh, Richard. Say we'll be this happy forever.
sweet. In the episode, we see at least 2 reasons why Kenny joined home economics instead of shop class.
First reason is that Kenny is surrounded by girls in home economics, which of course someone like him would really enjoy. As you mentioned, he's pimp. And the second reason is that Kenny has a fear of shopcast, a fear of saws, drills, and other dangerous equipment. This actually suggests that Kenny is fully aware of his proneness to dying. And as we have mentioned in the past, ladies and gentlemen, this is the final episode to air before South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut was released. It aired exactly 1 week before the film was released. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an announcement to make to you. We are bringing a review with you at some point here in the next week or so. I'm trying to finalize the schedule. But they have pretty much One of them said that he's pretty much available Saturdays and Sunday mornings, which is kind of like for us. But he is available during the week, anytime during the evening. Now they are on the East Coast time, so that could work a little bit for us, because that could still be at mid-afternoon for us. It could still be like 2, 3, you know what I mean?
Mm.
So we'll see. We'll try to get a date in. But we're trying to mash up here with the Film Frequency podcast to review the full movie with you guys, because we were like, well, we should do this with the movie people, because we're just TV people, and that's gonna be a long review.
Right.
So I don't know how we would do it. We would go the full. It probably turned into a 3-hour podcast. So
right, shit.
So I'm hoping they'll be able to guide us better on that journey of the movie. But now, the Mr. Adler is also based on a teacher Matt Stone had in elementary school. You want to take over the last 4?
On a poster in shop class telling students to wear safety goggles, the child drawn on the poster appears to be Kevin Stooley. On the Nashimura martial arts building, along with judo, karate, and jujitsu, it lists scratching and biting and barroom brawling. Tweek and Craig.
Hold on. Let's get this correctly. It's on the Nishimura. Nishimura. Come on, Nishimura. All right, go ahead.
Tweek and Craig would later have another physical confrontation in the season 19 episode, Tweek and Craig.
Tweek times Craig.
The last sentence Craig said before the fight is Cartman's catchphrase. Respect my authority!
Respect my authority. Oh, it was great. All right, let's get into pop culture now. Mr. Adler's dream is a reference to the 1987 film RoboCop. In the film, RoboCop would have memories of his previous life believed purged by his creators of his wife and children. The boys are weighing in both Tweek and Craig, as you mentioned, in much the same fashion that the International Boxing Association does to inform the audience of a boxer's weight class, victories, and statistics.
Pearl tells Baby to...
Baby.
Pearl tells Baby to dump that zero and get yourself a hero, which was a common catchphrase uttered by former daytime talk show host Ricky Lake when giving dating advice to female guests on her show. Her show ran from 1993 to 2004. During one of Mr. Adler's flashbacks about his fiancée, she says, "It's all over for you, Richard." This is another reference to the 1976 horror film The Omen. The line is uttered by a young nanny, Holly Palance, to Damien.
It's all for you, Richard. Mr. Adler's solution to Tommy's belt sanding off his face is using hydrogen peroxide. Oh, we forgot to mention that, there was early on, when somebody was screwing out. See? Screwing around. Use some hydrogen peroxide. When teaching Tweek how to box, Jimbo teaches him the Oppenheimer technique, which involves hitting your opponent in the balls. This is likely a reference to J. Robert Oppenheimer, who was one of the American scientists being part of the Manhattan Project, which developed the first atomic weapon. And as I mentioned, a parody of Gonna Fly Now, the theme song is, of course, from the 1976 Academy Award Best Picture, Rocky. You want to read the next ones?
A poster of a boxer with the words "The Brown Bomber" can be seen at the gym Tweek trains at. This is presumably a reference to Joe Louis, an American heavyweight boxing champion who was given the nickname the Brown Bomber. So we got some continuity. This is the second episode to show Kenny's awareness of his proneness to dying, behind his apprehension and following celebration at the end of Mr. Hanky the Christmas Pooh.
And if for those unaware, again, you can go back and listen to our season 1 finale episode there. But when he doesn't die, they go, "Man, it feels like something's off." He's like, "Woohoo!" So that was the first episode he realized that it was his own proneness to dying, and this was the last episode that came after that, second time again. So let's move in to finish up this episode here, Scoop. Our top likes and moments we disliked here. We don't have any disliked, ladies and gentlemen. We like this.
It's one of those rare occasions. We don't have any dislikes for this episode.
Why don't you go ahead? I'm going to go ahead, since I ran down the full episode. Why don't you just go ahead and run down all of our top likes?
So top first is Wendy asked to be in shop class, but they put her in home ec anyway. When the teacher explains it, she says, "Well, some of you are going to go off and have interesting careers, while some of you won't have to. Some of you pretty ladies can marry a nice man." Which, in is actually kind of true in the sense of what very pretty lady and like, you know, Donald Trump and all these fucking rich people with these old ass dudes with these beautiful young ladies.
But on the flip side, though, Mr. Adler, we didn't put this in the top like, but it's kind of the same conversation. Some of you are going to grow up to be doctors and politicians and governors. The rest of you, well, we got shop class. That's true too, because I mean, let's be real. Like, I mean, like, obviously, like me and you, we technically went to school for trades. Like, I mean, realistically, like you went to school to be, you know, a plumber, you're a certified fitness trainer, nutritionist, all that stuff, right? So like I went to school to do master control operations, production. I got my degree. So like we went through all that stuff, but it wasn't a traditional style of school where it was like, oh, we're going to go to a 4-year university and sit down. And I mean, I tried that. I lived that dorm lifestyle, but most of us are just going to grow up to be this, and that's why you need shop class.
That's why I got shop class.
I got shop class. Go ahead on the next one.
Tweek and Craig, the character development we got here. So this is where we really start to learn Tweek and Craig.
I mean, I would say more so Craig, because we got a lot from Tweek, right, in the Underpants Gnomes episode in the last season.
And then, you know, with his dad, we kind of get that first, you know, how he does his coffee thing. You know, Tweek coffee on that morning with the sunshine. All that bullshit that he does. He kind of does that with Tweek when he gets up behind his mom and starts talking about when he got into the fight about, or when the dude that wanted to fight him or something like that. Well, he didn't take very kindly to me. And he just like sits back down.
No, that's good. Those are good points. I like that Craig also in this, with his more of this character development, because all we've seen before is when he was sitting outside the counselor's office in the previous episodes for flipping off Mackie. And that was the beginning of this. That was at the beginning of this season when we did the Rainforest review, which you can see here right here on our YouTube and on all media outlets. But like, it's interesting that in that one, like we saw a little bit of Craig where he kept getting in and out for flipping people off. Well, this one, now we see that his whole family does it, which is interesting because like not really in Craig's mom's bush, like in that episode, nobody's doing the flipping the thing off on that one. And the episode where Craig's gay and like he's like, oh, you're really gay? Like no one's like flipping anybody off in that one. This is really the only one where everybody's flipping people off. Craig's mom's bush. Were you there the day that Craig's mom's bush saved the day? You remember that day when Craig's mouse flew through the air? Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
So, our third here, we got the real way to piss off Craig is to diss his gerbil, which is absolutely hilarious. And I mean, you know, honestly, we had a little hamster named, excuse me, hamster named Chubbs or Mr. Chubbs. Dude, if you ever talk shit about Mr. Chubbs, you're gonna come over and kick your ass. That's right, bro. That's right, bro.
When I was a kid, I had 2 hamsters. I had a boy hamster and a girl hamster. Fortunately, they were not like, they were fixed. You know what I mean? If you could fix hamsters, if you will. They just couldn't procreate. So like, they didn't like fuck, so that was good. No, we didn't make babies. But like, I had them. They kind of smelled. Gerbils smell. Hamsters smell.
Hamster. Mr. Chubbs doesn't smell too bad.
Even if you clean the fucking thing, it still has a weird smell.
He was cool.
Anyway, that being said,
come on there, kick your ass, bro.
Stripe has been alive for a long time, bro. Season 3.
Yeah. Stripe the gerbil, man. Going strong. So our next one here is the shop teaching his whole storyline. So we're gonna encompass that whole storyline that we can't go over this whole thing. Oh, you guys screw around too much. I never got to say goodbye.
I got to say goodbye. Richard,
we'll say goodbye now.
Watch me fly, Richard. Watch me fly. I'm a pilot, Richard. It's okay. Oh, Richard.
Our next one here.
It's all for you, Richard.
It's all for you. Our next one here is with an S so powerful, master. Master, with an S so powerful, you must overcome the S. But I can't, Master. You must push through the S. Carmen, with an S like that, you should consider sumo.
So of course, Scoop is referring to Cartman and Craig training to be sumo wrestlers.
It's one of my favorites out of the whole series. It's Cartman and his sumo thing, because I think this is the only time we actually see it, right? It's the only time.
We might see it.
I'm trying to remember if we see it again.
Like I know we do karate.
Karate.
Banzai, karate, banzai. You lack a discipline.
You lack a discipline.
Alcohol. I have a disease.
He's sitting in the chair. Stay.
I think you're right. This might be the only banzai. Banzai. No, seriously. The next one I'm gonna read it because this was mine. Jimbo's boxing lesson. So when Jimbo is giving him the lesson, he tells Ned's kicking the crap out of him, and eventually he tells him to punch him in the balls, kick him in the balls. He starts coughing up blood. Yeah, that's boxing.
Yeah, that's boxing.
And I don't know why that always gets me because it's probably just because it's not boxing. So, all right, continue.
The Rocky parody. We both kind of like this one. This one's pretty fun.
Song, yeah.
Yeah. You came to the conclusion, continuing to instigate.
Well, the end is what I meant. When they're in the hospital, and they're still like trying to get him to fight. And they're like, yeah, we made the whole thing up. Sorry, dude. And they're like, oh, you did? Yeah. But you know what? Your parents started fighting on the news. And they're like, what? They're like, yeah. They're like, Craig's dad hit Tweek's mom.
Got him.
And Tweek stands right up and just attacks fucking Craig, like goes right after him. And it was a great way to end the episode. I loved it. It was like, it kind of felt like the end of Rocky. Is it 3? Ding, ding. Like that's, I don't know. It was just funny. And then you put the whole weigh-in scene. You found that to be.
Oh, that was hilarious. Because for one, it's like ultra professional. You got Cartman being like the best hype man ever. He's just sitting there like, yeah, he weighed in over here. What I don't know. I don't remember how much he weighed in at, but they had like their weight and all of that shit. And like, yeah, he gonna kick you out. That's so dope, dude. I love it.
Okay, so just to set the record, so here's how this fight scene starts, or the hype scene starts. You're mentioning the conference. So Stan goes, okay, so just to set the record straight here, the fight will be happening out by the tetherball pole at 3:30. Tweek just weighed in at 48 pounds, Craig at 45. And Clyde goes, how long? And so Clyde in the audience goes, how long do you expect the fight to last? And before Craig can answer, Cartman goes, however long Craig wants it to. Look, make no mistake, Craig has been ready for the fight since day one. He doesn't even view it as a challenge. And then Kyle says he'll view it as a challenge when he's getting his ass kicked. And Cartman's like, did you hear that? That's like some diarrhea is coming out of someone's mouth or something. And then Kyle says, shut up, fat ass. And Cartman says, don't call me fat, you son of a bitch. And they start fighting. And Clyde says, wow, Tweek and Craig really hate each other. When really it's everybody else fighting, as you mentioned. So that was that convention or that fight scene itself, the hype scene, the conference scene, the boxing scene, the weigh-in scene. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Scoop, was this in Scoop's Top 50?
Say what? We're going to go a little higher. Or wait, would it be lower or higher?
Lower.
Lower?
Okay. So, yes, lower. So
Yeah,
this
go lower.
Is this in Scoop's Top 25? What?
Coming in at a solid, I'm going to put this at number 21.
21. Whoa. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Screw around too much, which is just, it's a huge, we get
Screw
Tweek and
around?
Craig.
Screw around. I'm going to put this in my top 50.
Oh, shit.
And I will name this number 41. How about that?
God, I like it.
There you go. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, Scoop, that's it. We did it. Another edition. Shit.
Yep.
Kick my ass. Right here on, of course, a litany of networks, as we mentioned, on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Anchor, Overcast, Breakercast, Pocket Cast, Touch Your Cast, Your Mom's Cast. We're also hosted on 2 different networks. So if you are a subscriber to Hami Media Group, you're listening there. We appreciate you there. As well as on ratsaladreview.com. If you visit their website, you can see our whole layout for them. They host us there, so we appreciate them there as well. You can also visit the sponsors of Hami Media Group. Their sponsors this month are thebrosters.com. Get the finest Vince Russo Bro coffee. You can also check out Zorda's olive oil, StevieRichardsFitness.com, ProWrestlingTees.com, as well as their brand new sponsor this month, Tech Meme Ride Home Podcast. It's the technology podcast that's 20 to 30 minutes that I guess even guys like Mark Zuckerberg are listening to. So check out that podcast. They're sponsoring Hami Media Group all month. In turn, we are on their network, so we appreciate them. Anyway, guys, I'm your host, Moses, lives on the West Coast. Ya boy, MSG, Matthew Schaefer. Follow me on Twitter, Instagrammer, Matthew_Schaffer. You can follow Suck My Balls on Twitter and Instagram at SuckMyBallsPod. Yeah. And then on Facebook at South Park Pod. Email us at suckmyballspod@gmail.com. Scoop, Ian, time. You have any parting words for us today? Enlighten us. Give us something to go out with, Ian.
We're all dust in the wind.
I have dry balls. Balls so dry.
So dry.
It's so like dust.
No. Have a good day.
What is that?
It's my balls!
God damn it, Cartman!
How would you like to suck my balls?
What did you say?
I'm sorry. Actually, what I said was... How would you like to suck my balls, Mr. Garrison?
Holy shit, dude.